Hey everyone, welcome to Dissecting the CT2V Rulebook. All right, this is hopefully week 9, because that's what I think it is. Okay, so let's do some looking. I am on, I do believe, page 16. Okay, so, like that's going to help you in this video. All right, page 16, judging key points. All right, so let's get started. So here we go. There are 5 bullet points underneath this and then a message, okay? So absolutely no video reviews will be considered, okay? You're at a competition that is under $100. This is not the NFL. This is not the Super Bowl. We are not doing video reviews, okay? You are at a sport that is subjectively judged, and we're doing the best that we can, okay? So no video reviews. Judge may not judge close family members, so no mothers judging daughters, nobody judging their children or their grandkids, okay? You know what, like, I haven't had any issues yet, but I don't know. I don't know exactly the extent of the family lineage that I would go down to, like first cousin, second cousin, or something like that. That's probably something that we need to define of, because it just says cannot judge close family members, okay? You know, something that I know that your boyfriends and your girlfriends are not considered family, but I don't want boyfriends and girlfriends judging each other either, even though that is said in here, but I also wouldn't let that happen because just a conflict of interest, you know? Typically you would actually judge them harder, but we don't want anybody to be able to say anything. So even though it says judges may not judge close family members, also those boyfriends and girlfriends. All right, judges are not allowed to compete in buckaroo. Buckaroos for 8 and under, okay? So absolutely no buckaroos judging you. No youth, okay? No wranglers. That's our novice. And then no mavericks. That's one step above novice, okay? So cannot judge that. Then judges are to be respected. A judge's word is final. Woo. So here we go. Let me talk about judge's word is final. So we've had before where we've had just some, okay, on our trail part, you know, I try to make it to where every person has the same starting point. So like in groups of 4, if you're going uphill, you'll have to go uphill and then come back down. So then everybody's judged, you know, in that group while the one horse is leaving. So like, if we ever have an issue and like, oh man, like if I was judging and I forgot to make everybody come back down to start, then I do want you to talk to me about if there's things like that happen, because I can take all of the scores out for that obstacle if they're messed up by a judge, okay? So not a big deal. But whenever I say a judge's word is final, oh my God, I will tell you horror stories of, okay, so you remember your pattern, right? And you remember everything that your horse did. Okay, well then you're talking to a judge that's probably going to watch 50 people do the same pattern. And then you come up there, like, let's say that ranch horsemanship is on Saturday morning, okay? And then it is Sunday after we hand out awards. So it's like 3:30, right? 3 o'clock on Sunday. And you see that somebody, that the judge scored you a 4 on a flying lead change, okay? I have seen people come in there hot to the judge and be like, I did too, get the flying lead change. Okay, and like the judge is like, I don't know who you are. I don't know what your horse is. I don't remember this one move out of 12 that were judged out of 60 people. So like, you got to keep that stuff at a bay. I also had a competitor one time that the judge wrote down, hey, the horse snorted. Okay, so they took off a point. It was on trail. And so the horse snorted. I used to get points taken off whenever I competed because my horse was always ticked off and he was always cranking his tail. So, I mean, like, I would get points taken off for that because he wasn't just a willing member, he was a butthole. Well, that competitor got so upset because the rider's feedback said that the horse snorted that they then proceeded to talk to their friend during the entire award ceremony and trying to pass out stuff. And they were like, my horse did not snort. Okay, so they come and complain to me about my horse did not snort. And I'm like, bro, I don't care, and I wasn't out in the woods, and like, oh my gosh, it's, you know, like, what am I supposed to do with her just huffing and puffing? Am I supposed to be like, man, I'll go give you 2 extra points because you disagreed that your horse snorted? No. What it does for me, okay, so now then, here we go. What it does for me is it puts you in a category in my head is like, somebody is a big fat complainer, and then you talked over me the entire time during the award ceremony for other people, including novices and including children that are getting awards. So it makes you look like a big fat jerk, okay? And you're in subjective judging, okay? So anyways, I would chill out with that stuff. Like, I will tell you, I am trying to do the best that we can with getting judges and getting trail judges and doing feedback. But boy, people get locked in on something and then they come in there. You know what? It's easier to catch bees with honey than with vinegar. And people come in there with some sour freaking vinegar trying to get, like, I'm going to change their score. I'm not going to change their score. You know, like, I respect my judges and I am so freaking happy to have them. And if you don't like to be judged subjectively, then you are going to have to go to a different sport, okay? You need to go to barrel racing, or you need to go to roping. You need to go to a sport. You need to go to mounted archery. You need to go to a sport that's not subjective, okay? So, anyways, whenever I say that the judge's word is final, I will stand by my judge, because it is hard to find judges and judges are evolving. But if there's a mistake made where it's where it was the thing that I told you about, like whenever there was groups of 4 and the judge forgot to make them come back, well, that's a different starting environment, okay? I will listen to that stuff all day long, okay? But not a fee-fi-fo-fum, I did too get that. I'm going to be like, okay, you know, got a different judge next time. Okay, so anyways, I have been subjectively judged and it's rough. It's rough, okay? You try to do your best and those little bitty things do add up. But at the end of the day, I'm going to side with my judge unless it's just a mistake on the other part, okay? So, all right, next thing. If there is a concern, address the concern with the host in a private manner. Woo! Private manner, okay? I have had people address things in a very non-private manner, okay? Like, if there's an issue with something, please come and tell me, especially if it's deals with the Rulebook, all right? Like come and talk to me, because that's how I get things changed. But not just to complain, but if there's a legitimate, hey, this person's doing this whenever you're not seeing it or something, I want to know that, because I want CT2V to be healthy. So, but don't do it publicly. Oh my gosh, that would be like you walking into a room and somebody being like, hey, your pants are unzipped. Ha 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 ha. Okay, that just makes you look rude, right? But you go over and tell the person, hey, your pants are unzipped. And then they're like, oh my God, thank you. Like, they appreciate it. Man, so anyways, just try to have a little couth there. Try to do things in a, you know, this is about restoring the way of a cowboy, and cowboys do things, you know, with honor and pride, not trying to find people doing things wrong and oust them in front of everybody for their friends. All right. And hey, I guess I really am passionate about this stuff. In the social media world that we live in, please refrain from public questioning. If you do reach out to a judge, please do not argue with the judge, and only reach out in a private manner, such as an email or private message. Only accept what they say and politely say thank you. Please remember that after the competition, the judge is on their personal time. Okay. So if you would, you know, in the world of social media, things can get ugly so freaking fast. So let's just try not to go there, you know. But if you, well, you know what, like, Teresa Rankin is one of she's a board member, and she's also a competitor, and she's also been a judge before. And if you wanted to ask her, like, hey, do you have any idea, like, hey, I scored low on this. I know you probably don't remember, but I scored low on this. So will you tell me, like, what are things I could work on? Or could I pay for a private lesson? Or, hey, what's your ideas on this right here? You know, you can talk to them. I mean, they're in the horse industry. Just whenever they say, if you reached out to somebody and said, hey, how would I get a better score? And then be like, that's what I did, and you gave me a 4. Bum, bum, bum. Just don't be that person, okay? All right. So next thing, scoring range. Okay, so this is like super important for you to understand is our scoring range. So every obstacle or maneuver, okay, so our obstacles, there's 10 different obstacles for our obstacle course that's on Sunday typically, okay? There's 10, and then you get 10 points for an overall horsemanship score. Each one of those obstacles is worth 10 points. On the trail, we call the trail, instead of calling those obstacles, because it would be confusing if we were talking obstacles and then we're on the trail and we're calling those obstacles. Everything's an obstacle. So we call those maneuvers, okay? Just so then you know what the heck I'm talking about. Because in CT2V, we have the ranch horsemanship, we have obstacles, and then we have trail. And the trail, we call those maneuvers, okay? So there's 3 parts put together for your versatility. So each one of those things is worth 10 points. Then in ranch horsemanship, each one of the transitions, however we put them onto the scoring guide, is worth 10 points. And then you have an overall horsemanship score that's worth 10 points. A score of 5 is average, okay? And then scores are awarded in quarter point increments. So you can get a 5, a 5.25, a 5.5, 5.75, and then a 6. Okay, so you can get anywhere all the way down. Instead of a 0, you could get a 0.25, okay? And then the highest score you can get is a 10. So, but 5 is actually getting, if we had you do a bridge and you're actually able to do the bridge, I mean, that's average. You could be doing the thing and still getting a 5. So 5 is average. Now then, I typically judge lower, okay? My nose is itching. If you get like a 7.75, that's a high score for me. And then some people, as long as they're consistent, as long as my judges are consistent, I don't care if some of them elevate. Some of them, if they gave you a 5, it would like crush their soul, okay? Some judges are going to make their mid number just be a little bit higher. Like maybe a 6.5 is how they judge. Some judges just judge higher, and I don't care as long as they're consistent. Some of my judges have a big range, like they can score somebody a 1.75 and then the next thing be an 8. Okay, so like some of them have big range, and some of the judges have a small range where they keep things from like a 3.75 to a 6. You know, everything's real tight. And who cares as long as they're consistent whenever they're judging. So what that means is you can't really compare how you did, like, oh, this judge scored me as a 6 and this judge gave me 4.75. Well, you're judging two different people. You know, you can't really compare the scores of two separate judges because they might judge differently. So anyways, on this right here, 10 is excellent, 7 and 8 is great, 6 is above average, 5 is your average point. So if you did obstacles, there's 10 of those, so that's 100 points, plus 10 points for the horsemanship, so you got 110 points. Okay, so your first goal with CT2V would be to get to average. So out of 110 points, you need to try to get to 55 and then work up. So the first thing would be able to complete everything at an average level, just like what normal is, and then move up, okay? So it helps people with whenever they're looking at scores and they're like, oh no, I came in last place, but I got 80 points, okay? That's a wonderful place to be at. You don't need to look at where you place. You need to focus on, did you reach average, and then try to get above average. All right, so let's talk about below 5. A 4 is close. It says close to average, so you just almost there, okay? Maybe a little hiccup. Then 2 to 3 is there's some major faults, okay? Like going through the gate and your horse backs up too much and you lose the gate, or, you know, just major faults with it, okay? Then number 1, if you get a 1, you're getting some pity points, okay? It doesn't say pity points in the book. It says that you attempted, okay? You attempted this, but you were like, And then 0 is that you left the maneuver out, or if you were not able to start, okay? So if you weren't able to start it, then you're going to get a 0 if you leave it out. Okay, so that's page 16. I'll try to go a little bit faster. Page 17 is scoring, okay? Riders will be scored on their approach, the obstacle / maneuver, and their departure. Okay, so the biggest things that I see that people mess up on is I view the approach as a piece of bread, and then the obstacle or maneuver is like the beefy part of the sandwich, and then the departure is the other slice of bread. And a lot of people must like some open-faced sandwiches because they forget that second piece of bread. Okay, everybody's just focused on the maneuver, and they just, they'll be nice and squared up, and then they do the obstacle, and then they've got a horse with a leg still on a bridge, and then they're turning, you know, and then their horse falls off or something like that. So don't forget about the departure. So some people that are watching this are going to be like, well, what the heck is the departure? Okay, so on average, okay, most times speaking, you want your horse to be straight 1 to 1.5 horse lengths before the obstacle. Then you want to do the obstacle, and then you want to maintain straightness for 1 to 1.5 horse lengths after the obstacle. So that is what I'm talking about. The approach is that 1 to 1.5 horse lengths, then the obstacle, and then the departure would be that past 1 to 1.5 horse lengths. So, and typically the obstacle is going to be worth about, if there's a 10-point scale, which this right here is kind of hard to do, but you, and the, you know, it's another reason why it's hard to find judges, is 80% of that score is based on the obstacle, and like 10% for approach and 10% for departure. Okay, now then, additional scoring information. The equine and rider will be scored separately on the trail competition. This is really cool. You'll love this. There will not be an overall horsemanship for the trail division. Ranch horsemanship and obstacles will have an overall horsemanship score in addition to the individual maneuvers or obstacles. Okay, so there we go. All right, trail. So the horse and the rider are actually scored separately. So that means, like, if I have you doing a creek crossing, you could get up to 10 points for yourself, and then the equine will be scored up to 10 points as well. Okay, and the reason that we do that is in our trail portion, the it's several judges. I typically have 3 judges. I'm hoping to get where I have 4 so I can increase the number of things on the trail to do. But usually each judge is given 2 maneuvers to judge on the trail. So with there being multiple judges, there's not one judge to give you an overall horsemanship score. So the way that we combat that is to give the rider a separate score than the horse for each one of those maneuvers. So here's something to think about is if your horse outscores you, that's typically easier to fix, because maybe you read the maneuvers wrong about what you're supposed to do, and you were supposed to back an L and you backed straight, okay? But your horse was compliant and backed well. Well, then you're the one that needs to get dinged, not the horse that minded you, right? Or what if we could tell that you're doing everything right, but then the horse was like, head up, wouldn't back up, blowing its body sideways, but then you kept calm, you kept your hands down, you were asking and not being in the horse's mouth too much, then you would outscore your horse, because that was your horse acting up, okay? So it's nice to look at if the horse outscores you or if you outscore your horse. So, all right, next thing, tiebreakers. Okay, each class will have the maneuvers and overall horsemanship assigned a tiebreaker order before the competition starts. Okay, so I'll talk about that. And then this ranking system will be assigned by the judge. If the overall versatility placing, any ties will be decided by trail, because we are country tough trail versatility. So that means we're trying to emphasize trail. That's what that meant. Ranch horsemanship, and then the obstacles. So it goes trail to break the tie overall, then ranch, then obstacles. If there are ties that remain, a coin will be tossed in front of the competitors by the judge or the host. Okay, so let's talk about the first one. Oh, here's something that we do y'all solid on is, let's say before ranch horsemanship, and we see all of the maneuvers, we have them written out on a piece of paper, and then the competitors are on this side of the piece of paper, and then we give you a score going across for each maneuver. Well, let's say, man, we look at that. Some of my judges will make their tiebreaker be the horsemanship score. Okay, well, a lot of times we'll go ahead and have them assign everything. I really need water. We'll have them go ahead and assign everything for tiebreakers, but a lot of times it'll be us if there's something difficult like a lead change, right? Or if we have a rollback. A lot of times they'll choose like the flash and flare of the ranch horsemanship pattern as their tiebreaker, like something that would be technically difficult. And then sometimes, like if I have to judge, sometimes I'll just let it be in the order of the maneuvers and I'll just let it go right down. That's kind of the lazy way, but it's easy and it's already done sometimes. And it doesn't matter, a tiebreaker is a tiebreaker. And then sometimes I'm a basics girl, like I love just fundamentals. So sometimes if I was to judge, I would choose a stop, you know. So it's just kind of random, but we do make sure that those are assigned before the competition starts, because you know what, goes right back to subjective judging. You don't want, you know, because we care about y'all, and like some of the judges might know somebody and they'll be like, oh yeah, let's, you know, oh, she's tied for first, but we don't have any problem with that. But I like to handle that stuff before, you know, so we like to have the tiebreakers assigned before they even go out and see anybody compete. You know what, for transparency, I should probably post a blank score sheet with the tiebreakers already assigned, just to be even more transparent about that we chose it before the competition started. So That was a great, I just thought about that right now, just because we like being transparent, and then people can't say, oh no, she didn't like me, so she knew that I messed up on one thing on my ranch horsemanship pattern, so she made that the tiebreaker. No, we like to alleviate that stuff because we don't like that cattiness, and it's typically amongst women. So we like to get rid of that stuff as fast as we can, with people even being able to say anything like that. All right, next thing, losing control of, I almost said of Eminem. I've got that Eminem song about, it's a rap song by the rapper named Eminem. Losing control of your equine, okay? So if a rider loses control of their equine during the competition and the equine is loose, the rider has 1 minute to regain control of their equine. If after 1 minute control of the equine has not been regained, the rider will leave the course and will not receive credit for the maneuvers or obstacles already completed. Okay, I read that wrong. The rider will leave the course and will only receive credit for the maneuvers or obstacles already completed. So that means if they come off at maneuver number 7, but they were able to complete 1 through 6, then they'll get scores on 1 through 6. It doesn't mean a disqualification, just means that they would get a 0 on the other ones, okay? And let's see here. If someone else aids the rider and places a hand on the equine to assist, the rider will not be able to continue. So if somebody's horse, if they just like slide off and they're able to get back, get a hold of their horse, well, they don't need to have somebody run out there and catch their horse for them, okay? Because you make it where they're not able to continue. So it says they will receive the points that they've already earned, and this shall include falling off, loose horse from any unmounted obstacle, or a fall off of the rider, okay? So it doesn't matter how they come off. Now then, if somebody comes off and they are most definitely not going to get back on, if they're laying there, because they've got a minute, and you see their horse is rip-roaring and it's heading towards the group of competitors that's watching, and it's about to be like bowling, and all of the competitors are just bowling pins, you need to get your hands on that horse, okay? You got to read the situation, right? If somebody's trying to get a hold of their horse and their horse is 10 foot away, don't run up there and try to help them whenever they didn't ask for help. But if you see somebody on the ground and they're most definitely like done, we don't want anybody to get hurt, okay? So like most definitely put your hands on the horse then, okay? We'll just call her done. So, all right, so that right there is it for tonight. That was page 16 and page 17. And next time we'll be talking about disqualifications, how to become a judge, opportunity classes, and then current opportunity classes that we have, which are foundations 1 and 2, and then we have a different abilities, which is assisted, and a different abilities unassisted. So we have 2 different abilities groups. So that is what we will cover next week. All right, y'all have a wonderful day. I hope you get to watch this, and hopefully it's not too long. Y'all have a wonderful day.